This episode is proudly sponsored by Chill Bombs, the makers of handmade, all-natural CBD-infused bath bombs. Check them out at chillbombs.com and use our code SPIRITS for 10% off. Enjoy the show, y'all! Hey y'all, I'm Leah Lawrence.
And I'm her husband, Mitch Lawrence.
And you are listening to the Southern Spirits Podcast, where I regale my husband with Southern stories of the macabre, creepy, and strange.
And I drink.
So what are you drinking tonight, Mitchell?
Our beer tonight is Peanut Butter Shake IPA. Brewed and canned at Westbrook Brewing Company in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. 7% alcohol by volume. Let's read the can. Unpasteurized, non-homogenized, brewed fresh, so please drink fresh. India Pale Ale, brewed with lactose, vanilla, and peanut butter. So nothing crazy there. So when we get into the personal section, let's say first here, we thought this was a stout when we bought it because we didn't really look at the can.
It just looks like a stout because anything with milk and peanut butter on the front is probably going to be a stout or a porter or something like that.
Yeah, and I opened the first can, and I saw that it wasn't like really dark brown, and I went, what's this about? And I smelled it, and I went, oh my goodness, this is bitter. What is this? Then I looked at the can, and I saw it said India Pale Ale on it. So I went, okay, this is probably going to be kind of bad. And I took a sip. Y'all, this is my new favorite beer, and I'm not even close to kidding. It is unbelievable how good this is. Leah, what do you think about it?
I like it a lot. It's not my favorite beer by far, but it's really good. I highly recommend it. But just, you should have seen the face and the just childlike glee that just absorbed Mitchell when he first tasted it. He was so excited, he almost ran around the kitchen.
I kind of did.
He did. It was adorable. So Mitch has a new favorite beer.
Yeah.
Peanut Butter Shake IPA.
It's so good. It starts out really bitter, and then as it slides down, it tastes like the back end of a peanut butter stout. And it is incredible how these flavors go together. It's creamy. It's almost like a peanut butter pie after that initial bitter India Pale Ale thing. Holy shit. Best beer I've ever had. The only problem is that we can only get pints in 4-packs. I want 100 of these. Not 4. But that's what we got. 10 out of 10, without a doubt. My favorite beer, literally ever. Literally. Leah. Our shot in the dark for the night, Appalachian Apple Pie Moonshine, bottled by Sugarland Distilling Company, LLC in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, 25% alcohol by volume, and we've had it on the show before, so if you want to hear the full review, go to episode number 35, Cabin in the Woods. This gets a 10 out of 10 as well because it's excellent. And I feel like Leah was about to say something before I went into the shot in the dark. What were you going to say?
I was, but I forgot about it, so whatever. I was probably going to say something about my favorite beer, but whatever.
Well, you don't get this one anymore because this is the last one we have.
Also, the beer that we had on for the Patreon episode that we released for everybody, it was a Salted Caramel by Horny Goat.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently that brewery is closed down now. Like, they shut earlier this year, and I fucking loved that beer.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite beers I've ever had, and I drank them all, so I'm a little mad about that. But
yeah, I only had one of those because you liked it so much. I wanted to save it for you.
It was so good, but apparently they've gone out of business, so I'm sorry if I got anybody's hopes up.
Yeah, that's sad. I'm really sad about it because my hopes were up.
Yeah,
and
it was a really good beer.
It was. And I hope we can find some more of them.
Yeah.
But,
I hope we can find something similar from a brewery that's still continuously open, because I'm going to need something that's about that level of yes.
That level of yes is exactly my feeling about this peanut butter shake India Pale Ale, Leah.
That, and I mean, obviously I prefer sours, and then I really like stouts and porters and stuff like that. I'm not a huge IPA person. So my favorite beer still is Citricabra. It has not been dethroned, so still looking for something better, but I haven't found it yet.
Well, good luck to you on that journey. I'll see you on the other side, because I found mine and I'm good. I'll be over here sipping it for all of eternity.
Excellent.
Me and peanut butter shake just cuddling up. Oh, well, that's it for the alcohols, Leah. So what are we going to do now?
We're going to talk about our brand new Possum Pestle members. Yay!
Possum Pestle.
Possums, Pestles. Yay. That is not a possum sound.
All right.
Oh, all right. Well, we have 2 brand new Possum Pestle members. Both of them have pledged at the buy us a beer level, so that's $3 a month. Y'all, we super appreciate it. So it's Beth G. Welcome, Beth G. Thank you so much for contributing to our Patreon campaign.
Welcome.
You are amazing. You are a queen. We appreciate you so much. And then our second new Possum Pestle member is Troy W. Also
Welcome.
at the $3 level.
Awesome.
You're amazing. You're wonderful. Thank you so much for contributing.
And you're handsome.
I'm sure you are.
I don't know what you look like.
I don't either, but you know what? All possums are
Show us
cute
that hog.
possums. Excuse me?
No, let's not do that.
That escalated very quickly.
It did. I get real excited when we get new Patreon members.
Super creepy, Mitchell. Anyway, I'm sorry if my husband sexually harassed you. My point is, we appreciate you very much. And if anybody else does feel like tossing us a couple bucks every month, we would super appreciate it. And you get cool stuff in return. There's stickers and new episodes and stuff like that.
Nudes.
Yeah, no nudes.
Hey,
that's illegal.
We've discussed that Christmas card before, Leah.
That is not nude.
I'm nude, but you cover it up with stickers, and I'm not releasing that to the public. I've sent it to some friends because it's funny.
Literally nothing is showing, and in the original photo, there is nothing showing except your nipples, and your nipples have been covered by presents, so that's it. It's fine.
Y'all,
if anybody,
don't worry about this.
Patrons, I really need you to get on board with this with me because I need that to be a printed thing. But anyway, so I'm
Please
just
don't.
saying, subscribe, and maybe that'll happen for Christmas. Fingers
Subscribe and you
crossed.
can get a very
Unsettling Christmas card
there
from
you go.
us.
Because y'all, contrary to popular belief, I am not attractive naked. And
Who is really?
I'm not naked in the picture like she said, but good God. We had a tub in our bedroom in Gatlinburg last year. And, you know what? The episode we recorded up there is one of the moonshines we're drinking. I didn't even think about that. And the picture is I'm in the tub with a cup of coffee with my legs up on the side of the tub.
Because it's a weird triangle-shaped tub.
Again, you see nothing, but you know I'm nude in that tub.
Oh, I like your sweater, senor.
Oh, God. That is enough. I'm sorry to step on the new Possum Pestle segment.
Oh, y'all, we have a good time.
Well,
Most of the time when Mitch isn't wearing a shirt.
yeah, that's accurate. I love not wearing a shirt, but I don't do it in public because it's bad for morale.
All right. Well, thank you, new possums. You're
welcome.
awesome. We appreciate you. And like I said, if anybody else wants to join us,
Patreon.com/Southern Spirits Podcast.
There we go. That
Yes.
one.
It's
Hell
always the
yeah.
second person that gets it right. Always. In all instances.
All right. Well, we also have some listener mail.
Ooh, listener mail.
Listener mail. You gonna poke something?
Lightsaber. Lightning strike.
Shut up!
Okay, all done.
All right then.
Wait, one more.
Ring,
Hello?
ring.
Who's there? Beach trip. No,
Actually-
inside joke. Don't do that. Ring ring, brand new mail. That's not how mail's delivered. Continue.
Okay. Well, this is another postcard from Kathy, and it looks like it's sent right after she did the Rang Rang beach trip. I'm sorry, y'all.
God.
That still makes me laugh because I apparently can't read cursive for shit. But anyway, and it's really good cursive too. I don't know what my problem is.
It was very neat.
Yeah, but whatever. I blame the mail carrier that scratched the back of it. But anyway,
Yeah, that's what it was.
this one is a wonderful postcard. It's a Blackbeard postcard, and it is from
Excuse me.
I think it's North Carolina.
I don't know.
Yes. So Research Triangle region. Raleigh, North Carolina. I was right. Okay, we're good. Y'all, have a problem. Anyway, it says my daughter and I are visiting Oak Island, North Carolina. It's right there in the letter. Fuck me.
There you go.
Near Wilmington, Kathy F. And this is such a cute postcard, and it's got a whole paragraph about pirates in the Carolinas. And we've talked about Blackbeard on this show several times, and I'm super excited to have, a postcard that matches one of the stories that we've done. Well, actually, I've talked about Blackbeard several times because that ghost gets around.
Yeah, he's a slut.
But anyway,
ghost.
We've got another pirate card, and I'm super pumped about it. I've almost got enough postcards to do a second wall in our podcast room, and I'm very excited.
2 of 4.
Yep.
Once we get to 4, though, y'all stop sending postcards.
Oh, no. Then we're going to, do in the hallway or something. I don't know.
The whole house just full of postcards.
It's going to be great.
Fire hazard. Goodness gracious.
All the rest of the shit we have in this place isn't a fire hazard.
Yeah, you're right. We have a lot of clothes and furniture in here. All that shit goes up in a hurry.
Yeah.
I remember 2 years ago, we went to a bonfire at one of Leah's friends' houses, and one of the things they had on the bonfire was a couch because they were just getting rid of it. And I remember Leah's face when she saw that couch go up, because the couch burned away in about 30 seconds flat.
That was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen.
Right. And I explained to Leah that, yes, that is why a house fire is such a big deal, because all furniture does that.
Yeah, because of all the foam and the padding and all that stuff. That polyurethane foam fucking burns. And there was a tree 30 feet, a limb hanging up 30 feet maybe. Didn't think that would ever be a problem. When that couch caught, it just went...
Yep.
And I was afraid we were going to burn the whole fucking place down. It was problem.
Yeah, we came close. The flames were touching that limb. It just didn't catch it.
Thankfully, it had rained a good amount before then, so nothing caught. But I am still scared of couches burning now, but whatever.
Yeah, well, you should be. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
It is.
Y'all, if you've never seen a couch burn, try it.
But don't try it. That is not a good idea.
In the middle of a field, away from shit.
I still don't condone it, because I bet those chemicals that come off the burning is just toxic as fuck.
Well, it's one couch. You're not burning a pile of couches.
No, I'm talking about don't breathe the shit in. It's polyurethane foam. It's a terrible idea.
Yeah, we're saying the same thing.
No, we're not, but it's fine. Whatever. Y'all, don't burn a couch.
I am on the other side of the fence. I say burn a couch.
All right, well... You're wrong, but it's okay. We still love you. All right, so who's ready for a funny place name?
Me.
I am. Okay. Well, I actually really like this one, but, we'll get into it. It's Sop Choppy, Florida.
Sop Choppy?
Sop Choppy.
Sop Choppy. All right. I think this is a System of a Down song.
It's not. So it's Sop Choppy, Florida, and the town is actually named because... white people don't know how to say Native American words, and I'm going to continue in that tradition of white people not being able to pronounce things correctly.
You're doing great.
So it's a corruption of the Muskogee language. The word that they call the area is...
Here it comes.
Lock Chop, I believe.
And 2 smoking barrels.
L-O-C-K-C-H-O-P-P-E. Lock Choppy. I'm not sure. But anyway, translated, Lokcha means acorn and Oppie means stem. So it's just like the acorn stem, which is what they called the river that runs through that area. So white people settle in that area, and they hear the natives call it Lock Choppy, and they're, Sop Choppy. Fine. Sop Choppy. We live here, Sop Choppy.
Oh, is that really?
But it is.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So Sop Choppy is the name of the town. But even though it's fun to say and it's a little bit funny, the reason I wanted to bring this particular town up is because, y'all, they do the weirdest fucking shit there, and I can't wait to tell you about it.
What do they do there?
They have a festival there every year, and it's the Worm Grunting Festival.
Oh, God.
Have you ever heard of worm grunting? Because I watched a very long documentary about it.
Most of my teenage years were spent worm grunting.
Not that kind of worm grunting, Mitchell. No, so
there are multiple types of worm grunting.
Turns out.
Good God.
So, I'm not kidding, y'all. It's a thing. So you go out into the woods area, and they take these big metal spikes, like a railroad spike almost, and they pound it into the ground, or I think it's a wooden stake, not a metal one. But anyway, they pound these stakes into the ground, and then they take this metal bar and they rub it against the wooden spike.
Oh yeah, I do know what you're talking about.
In certain ways.
Yeah,
and then
it makes them come up.
And it makes these little sounds, and it makes the worms come up out of the ground.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And
I don't know where I've seen that before.
We've seen it in a documentary together.
Yeah,
I don't know
know,
what it was
but
about.
it wasn't worms. It was something else. But it's the same thing.
No, it's
where
worms.
It's the vibrations or something.
It's supposedly the vibrations. But yeah, basically a lot of people in that area go out worm grunting just on a regular basis because they sell bait to fishing shops, the big night crawlers and stuff.
That's exactly what it was, because there were people who did it in a swamp. There were people who did it like in a field, and it's all the same shit, but they just find different worms and stuff.
But anyway, so they have a worm grunting festival, and they have a big competition to see who can worm grunt the best to get the biggest worms and the most worms. So like they
do they have different classifications? Do they have biggest worm, most worms?
I'm sure they do.
Types of worms?
I didn't get too far into it because I don't want that on my Google.
Let's do a full episode on worm grunting, please.
I don't need that in my search history, y'all, but
I do. I wonder what comes up on Pornhub if you type in worm grunting.
I don't want to know at all.
We're going to find out in about an hour and a half.
I really don't need that in my life.
I do.
But okay.
Well, we don't know if we need it yet. We'll find out.
My guess is a big old hell no, but who knows? Anyway.
I can't wait.
So that was our funny place name with their weird ass festival. Maybe that's what we should start doing instead of a funny place name. Maybe we should transition into what is your weird ass festival? Because our town has a weird ass festival. I'm sure there's lots of them.
You talking about Depot Days?
Yeah.
That's coming up soon.
Yeah, like this month.
Yeah. I don't even know what that is. I still don't know. I really don't. I've been here for 3 years. I don't know what Depot Days is.
It's hot and it's terrible, and most of the time it rains really hard.
This is why I don't know what it is, because I ask and then I get told, well, you know, it's a thing and it's
literally
hot.
Just a street fair. They have kids stuff. They have like a antique car show. They've got a tractor show. There's a pageant, that kind of thing.
There's a pageant?
Yeah.
Oh, is there a dog pageant?
No.
Oh, I want to enter our dogs into a dog pageant.
But Coleman's Oktoberfest has a puppy parade and dachshund races, which is always adorable. So.
Oh, I want to go so bad.
Yeah.
I'd rather go there. We've been to the Strawberry Festival.
I've been. You've never been.
I think I went.
You did not go because I asked you like for a while, and you're like, "Nah, I don't want to go."
Okay, yeah. Yeah, because if you asked me now, I'd probably be like, nah.
Yeah.
Because from what I understand, there are no strawberries at the Strawberry Festival.
There were strawberries. I had a strawberry shortcake that time.
Okay.
Anyway, so that was really long.
We'll get into it another time.
Yeah.
About the Strawberry fucking Festival.
Anyway. All right, so you ready for our first story?
I'm so ready.
Okay. Well, we are going to the great state of Arkansas.
Yay.
And we are going to be talking about the Devil's Hole and the legend of the Gowrow.
I feel like we've talked about a devil's hole
There's
before.
lots of devil's holes. There's devil's holes. There's devil's trees and devil's chairs. Devil's pitchforks. Devil's roads. Devil's bridges. The devil claimed a lot of shit around here.
Okay. Maybe we did it as a funny place name or something?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I remember Devil's Hole from something. It could just be that I'm extrapolating something, but I think I've heard Devil's Hole come out of your mouth before. You could have just been angry at me about something. I'm not sure. Shut up that Devil's Hole on your face. Something like that.
I've never said that, but okay.
You're going to now.
Probably. So this is a cryptid, obviously.
Ooh.
And I got most of this information from the Encyclopedia of Arkansas.net. So if anybody wants to look that up, it's actually a really neat website. All sorts of interesting stuff about Arkansas. But anyway.
Sounds so enthralling.
No, not really. But I enjoy some of the things on there for sure. But anyway, so the Gowrow is one of the lesser known cryptids in Arkansas. And it's really fun and I like it a lot. The first written account, I guess, of the Gowrow appeared in the Arkansas Gazette in 1897, and it was written by a dude named Elbert Smithy. And there's also a wonderful illustration from that same newspaper article that is tops, let me tell you. But that's neither here nor there. But anyway, this Elbert Smithy guy interviewed a dude that said he went out and saw it. So my first question for you, shot in the dark.
Uh-oh. Are you doing multiple questions?
Well, one this story, one next story.
Okay. I was very upset when you said my first question for you.
No.
Like Leah.
So what kind of cryptid is a gowrow? Is it A, a giant bird, B, a giant fish, or C, a giant lizard?
Okay, and it's got a hole.
It's got a devil's hole.
Yeah. So that makes me think that it's going to be a big old fish.
Is that your answer?
Yes.
You're
Fish.
wrong.
God damn it. Okay, well, what is it then?
It's a giant lizard.
Oh, okay. Do you want to take a shot with me?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, uh-oh.
I just really like the apple pie moonshine.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
why
been on our cabinet for a hot minute, and we probably should drink it. So.
Almost a year at this point. That's why I poured two, because I figured you'd like some. Okay, group shot. 1, 2, 3.
Damn, that's good.
Oh, yeah, it is. Whew. Hot damn. That's delicious. It's still good. It was purchased last November.
Yeah.
And goddamn.
We're going back in a few weeks, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I can't wait.
All right. So
Christmas lights won't be up yet.
No, they won't, but hopefully some of the like October-y, Halloween-y kind of shit's going to be going, and I like that stuff. So
yeah. So you've been there in the summer. I've only ever been in the like actual Christmas time because
I've been just about any time of the year, but mostly we went in the summer when I was a kid because that's when we were off school. But you know. All right, so, yes, the gowrow is in fact a giant lizard. So that Smithy dude interviewed this man named William Miller, and he was a business dude in Little Rock, Arkansas. And he claimed to have been traveling out in the Ozarks, and he heard tell from the locals of this horrible monster that lived in the mountains in this cave called the Devil's Hole. And there is still a cave called the Devil's Hole out there. So if you want to go find yourself a gowrow, I'd start there, but I wouldn't go in there because this gowrow seems to be pretty mean. But anyway, he finds this Devil's Hole and he hears these stories about this awful monster. And apparently it's called the gowrow because that's sort of the noise it makes. It's
Whoa, what was that noise?
It was a gowrow.
Speaking of,
excuse me.
I hope that came up on the microphone.
I hope not.
It's one of those things, y'all, which everyone's experienced them, but you don't have an actual belch come out. But Leah's like mid-chest just made a burp noise.
It was awful. Anyway, so the gowrow makes this awful noise in the middle of the night, and it goes, gowrow, you know, gowrow. That's the noise it makes. So they called it the gowrow.
It's looking for its friend Gary. That's all it is.
Gary.
That's what I'm saying.
No, it's gowrow. But anyway, so he is a son of a bitch kind of creature to live near because he slaughters pets and livestock and people, and he carries off, you know, small children to its little Devil's Hole lair, and it munches them and leaves the skeletons around. And so they go in and they track this monster to its Devil's Hole lair. And they go in, they have a posse of people at this point. A bunch of townsfolk armed with guns. They're going to ambush this sucker and they're going to kill it so they, you know, don't have to keep losing cattle and stuff to the gowrow. So they all get up in this cave. And obviously this is according to the one dude. But anyway, they get up in this cave and they see just the bones of animals, the bones of humans, just like it is a fucking dragon lair back there. Minus the cool gold and stuff, because apparently gowrows don't do that. But
never understood why dragons hoard gold.
Because gold is shiny.
Yeah, but what are they going to do with it?
Hoard it.
Yeah, but why? Forget it. God damn it. Get on this.
Okay, sorry. So the gowrow isn't in the cave, and they're like, oh, so what are we going to do? Because they were going to ambush this sucker, and they realize that they're in this cave, and it's not in there, and all of a sudden, they hear this noise come out of a nearby lake, and they're like, oh fuck, and they sort of, it's so big that when it steps, the earth kind of shakes a little bit, like
Whoa.
they could feel its footsteps, and they were like, oh fuck, we're stuck in its cave and it's coming this way. And so they're trying to escape, and it's coming for them. And the Galrow ends up getting a hold of one of these people by the leg, and it shakes it and it shakes it, and it rips this one dude's leg off. Now he's okay. They patched it up, but he's missing a leg, and they shoot this Galrow, and they shoot this Galrow, and they shoot him, and they shoot him, and they shoot him. And he takes 20 or 30 shots, but finally they get him down enough to where they can, kill it, finish it, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So they have killed the Galrow, and they have described it thusly. They said that it was 20 feet in length. It had 2 tusks, large webbed feet ending with claws. Mm-hmm. It has a row of short horns down its back, a long thin tail with a blade on the end. So it's like a shank dragon or something.
Yeah,
like
everything is sharp on this fucker.
It's just a shank dragon. That's what I would call it. But yeah, so they're like, oh, we killed the Galrow, huzzah! They're all excited. And so this man claims that he packed the body up and he shipped it off to the Smithsonian Institution. But unfortunately, it got lost in transit, and the body never made it to Washington, D.C. Sad day.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what happened.
Yeah.
Just like Osama bin Laden.
You gotta stop saying that shit.
No, I never will.
Anyway,
never.
So that whole thing was ridiculous, but that was the first quote sighting and story and the first recorded instance of the Galrow in Arkansas folklore. Now, apparently there was also another man that sort of got into the Galrow biz, I guess. So in the 1880s, there was a man that claimed to have found the Galrow's hole. They found the Devil's Hole. Mm-hmm. And apparently, according to this person, it wasn't just the one Galrow, it was a whole species. There was a whole bunch of them, because he claimed that he found the creature and he watched them, and the Galrow laid soft-shelled eggs like a turtle.
Oh, God.
And when the soft-shelled eggs, the eggs were as large as a keg of beer. And after...
Oh, that sounds painful.
Right. And after the keg of beer eggs have, hatched, the mother carried the little baby Galrows in a pouch. So apparently now they're marsupial reptile weirdness. But anyway... The whole thing is strange, but he claims that he was exploring the Devil's Hole, and he came upon the Galrow, and he realized that he could make a fuck ton of money if he could just capture this sucker and show it off. So he
live? He wanted to capture it alive?
Alive, yeah.
Okay.
So he decided that he was going to be tricksy with it, and he went and got a fuck ton of apples, like dried apples, just delicious, tasty dried apples.
But doesn't it eat people? Animals?
I was gonna say, with all the bones around, I feel like that is not. I don't think vegetarian food is what we were going for with this sucker, but apparently the Galrow loved him, just ate him and ate him and ate him, and he kept pitching these apples to this Galrow, and apparently the Galrow got so fat that he couldn't get out of his hole.
Okay, how long?
I don't
over
know.
What period of time? And where is this fucking guy getting all these apples?
That was my question exactly. That is a lot of apples.
Do you own an orchard,
That is a 20-foot long monster, sir, and you're just like feeding it. And how big is the hole? Was it a real slippy hole?
A month in time, he fed the Galrow 6,000 apples, which is enough. I don't think you can eat enough apples to gain weight.
I don't
first
either.
of all.
Like, not a lizard that's that big. But anyway.
I mean, me. Like, I'll eat apples all day for the rest of my life. No, let's okay, calm down. Let's say a month. I'll eat apples only for a month. Let's see if I gain any weight. Do you want me to do that?
if you want to.
God, that sounds like an expensive fucking experiment. Do y'all know how much apples are?
Apples, like the good apples are expensive.
Yeah,
the nasty apples are pretty cheap, but the good ones are expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he claims that he finally captured this sucker because he got chubby and it was hard for him to escape. So he takes this chubby gal row on the road and he starts exhibiting it as a sideshow. And he would charge $0.25 for anybody that wanted to see it. But here's the trick. Once he had a big audience that was ready to see this gal row, the man would come out from behind the curtains, but his clothes had been completely ripped. He had like a scratch on his face and it was bleeding. And he would say, "Oh my God, the gal row's escaped." And it would send the crowd into a panic and they're freaking out and screaming and running because they know this sucker's big. And they leave the area freaked out thinking that this thing's going to get him. And he's got all their fucking quarters and he gets to leave. So maybe the gal row's real and maybe the gal row's just something that happened because con men think it's a good way to get quarters.
So do you think it was just like a Komodo dragon?
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, that is a lot of people. If people think that it's real, most people say this is just a promotional stunt, haha, gag kind of hoax animal. Mm-hmm. But if the people think that it was based on something, a lot of people believe that it's either like a Komodo dragon that someone had imported as a sideshow amusement kind of thing, or some people believe that it was a crocodile or an alligator, which would probably be more accurate since they're native to here. But yeah, that's... most people just believe that it was a sideshow gaff kind of situation, but...
Sounds like it.
You know?
Because, I mean, you're not going to fatten up the meat-eating lizard with
a bunch of dried fucking apples.
So many apples over... I mean, this guy was playing the fucking long con. What was he doing?
I mean, wouldn't you... Like, I could see... Like, if you were going to lie about it, though, just say, like, I pitched him a sheep a day. Like, what do you... But no.
I fed him apples.
Lots of apples.
What kind of... I mean, that's so stupid. But hey, whatever. Rock on, man.
Yeah, he got his quarters out of it. It's fine.
All these apples and nothing to do with them. Wait a second. I heard about the gal row, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Let me go feed them all these apples. They're going to spoil anyway. I got to do something with them. That apple carriage just broke down in front of the house the other day.
Well, if I was having a bunch of apples that were about to spoil, I'd make some apple jack out of it. That's just me.
Yeah, well... God, do you remember Apple Jacks? I haven't had Apple Jacks in years.
Not the cereal, the liquor.
I know, but I'm talking about fucking Apple Jacks, the cereal.
But they don't taste like apples.
Nothing does. Except for apples. But goddamn, Apple Jacks was my shit.
Yeah, I liked Apple Jacks a lot too.
Oh, I want it. I want some now. Let's go to the store real quick.
I am not going to the store to get you Apple Jacks.
Okay, we'll get them tomorrow.
Okay, fine.
That sounds good.
All right.
Was that the end of the first story?
It was.
Well, I'm so glad that we got to end it with Apple Jacks. It just sounds wonderful.
Yep.
All right, well, what are we going to talk about next, Leah?
Something terrible.
Yay, my favorite. I love when we do terrible things.
It gets real bad, y'all.
Yay.
We're talking about a serial killer. So
yay.
If this is disturbing to you in any way, shut it off. This is bad. Just putting it out there. This one's bad.
Okay.
And it gets worse and it gets bad. So
I can't wait for the shot in the dark.
All right. Well, it's coming up real soon because you know the shots in the dark come real fast in the ones that are...
In the nasty ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So here we go.
Oh, shit.
We're talking about the...
I just nailed myself in the face with my microphone.
Yeah, I saw that. It was kind of funny.
Trying to get the shot ready.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So we are talking about the Devil's Oak and the serial killer Gerard Schaefer. And this is from Port St. Lucie, Florida.
Okay. I don't think I knew Port St. Lucie had a serial killer.
Yep, sure did. And this is, like I said, the Devil's Oak. So we went with the Devil's Hole, and now we've got the Devil's Oak. Yeah. So the Devil's Oak is actually a tree that is said to be very haunted. And it is located in Oak Hammock Park. And there's a great reason for this motherfucker to be haunted. And that is what we're going into right now, because something terrible happened. Now, when I first found this particular story. I think I was like browsing on Ranker. And have you ever been on Ranker?
No. What is Ranker?
It's a website where it's just a bunch of lists, and they have like the top 10, just about everything. They've got a bunch of different things, but there's one section of Ranker called Graveyard Shift, and it's just a bunch of spooky stories. So I like to scroll through there to see.
Top 10 things to feed a gal row. Number one.
But they've got like top 10 legends from Alabama, or the top 20 reasons Florida is the spookiest state. Just that kind of thing. And I like to scroll through it just because I think the articles are interesting. And a lot of the times I can find stuff that I can pull and research later. You know what I mean? Right. And I was like, oh, the Devil's Oak. That sounds spooky. That sounds easy. That sounds fun. That can't be any, haha, ghost story. Yay. Turns out no. So thank you, Ranker, for this story. It's going to be terrible. But anyway, so my sources on this one, I, of course, looked up things from Wikipedia. There's a book series called Weird US that had an interesting information about the tree itself. And then there's also a podcast that I found just looking up this information. It's called Tripping on Legends. And I actually first heard about that podcast because the guy that does it did an interview on the Paranormal Karen podcast, which I really like.
What are we talking about?
Podcast, Mitchell. Paranormal Karen is a very good podcast, and she's very funny. She's a stand-up comedian that also does like tarot cards, and she just interviews people about all sorts of shit. No, we're not famous enough for that.
Let's ask her if we can go on.
Anyway, I think you would offend her because she's very much into like paranormal psychology. Like,
well, I know how to be polite about my skepticism. I do it in front of you because, what are you gonna do?
Alrighty, well. Anyway, if anybody's looking for something like that, it's a great podcast. But anyway, Tripping on Legends, they go around and remember when we were talking about the legend tripping stuff where people have been killed when they're going off to places where things like this happen. So when they were going to the Pope Lick Trestle and getting hit by trains, that kind of thing.
Or diving in the caves.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So those people go to those places and talk about, and they research the different areas and stuff like that. So if you want really in-depth, interesting stuff about this tree, go listen to that podcast. It's really good. But yeah, that's where all of this information comes from. I hope you enjoy this.
I'm looking forward to it. So
the guy that we're talking about here, his name, like I said before, is Gerard Schaefer. He was the oldest of 3 kids. His parents' names are Doris Marie Schaefer and Gerard Schaefer also. So he was a junior. And his family was very Catholic. He was born in Wisconsin, but when he was a baby, they moved to Atlanta. And around the time he got into high school, they moved to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and that's where he really grew up. So his family was kind of, not great, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world. He didn't like his dad for whatever reason, but it wasn't that big of a deal. But he started getting into trouble when he was a teenager. He got a lot of... He was one of those kids that started being creepy real early. Like, he became super obsessed with ladies' underwear.
Oh, God. Who isn't, though?
Okay, that's creepy. So he got really, creepily obsessed with women's underwear, and he decided, he was stealing panties, and he became a peeping Tom, and he got really obsessed with this one neighbor girl whose name is Lee Hanline, and just freakishly obsessed with this woman. And he started killing animals and
okay.
Yeah, just being a little bit creepy. He was known to cross-dress, which isn't unnatural, but in that time period, people thought that was a creepy sort of thing.
I believe,
you know what I mean?
Tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe that is also a sign of some sort of I of course mean this coupled with the other things.
Yeah.
That cross-dressing is also a sign of some sort of psychopathy when it's coupled with animal torture.
I don't think necessarily, but I think it lends itself more to the fact that, he's obsessed with women's underwear. He's really hostile towards women. He's got some latent anger issues when it comes to women in particular, and I think that's the problem.
Yeah, I just think that I've heard these things coupled together in a few different instances of people being serial killers.
Several different serial killers have early teenage years that sound pretty similar like that.
Like you were saying, not at all a sign of something.
No.
But it's oftentimes coupled with these other things. Yeah. That's, again, I'm not sure where I'm getting that from, but I have a feeling I've heard that and read that places. I don't know.
All right, so he ended up going to high school at St. Thomas Aquinas High School in 1964, and then he graduated from the Florida Atlantic University. So shot in the dark.
Yay. Hold on.
After this creepy dude graduated from college, what job did he get?
Oh, God.
Did he A, become a bank loan officer, B, a high school teacher, or C, a commercial fisherman?
I want to say high school teacher.
You are correct.
Yay.
They gave this creepy motherfucker a high school teaching position.
Well, I mean, they didn't know he was doing... God damn it. There we go. Fuck. I was touching that for so long. That's what she said. There you go, Leah. And we're going to take the shot together again.
Okay.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, just wonderful. Just absolutely wonderful. Whew. Whew. A little rough on the back end on that one, though. Hot damn.
All right, so in 1969, he became a teacher at the Plantation High School. But it turns out he got fired real fast for, quote, totally inappropriate behavior.
Oh, that makes sense.
I could not find what the totally inappropriate behavior was, but that's what the quote from the principal was in all of the records that I saw. So apparently he was doing some shifty shit, so he got fired from that. He apparently, at one point, and I couldn't decide if this was before the high school teaching position or after, but at one point he tried to become a priest, like in the Catholic priesthood.
Whoa.
And they were like, nah, bro, no. Sorry.
Even they were like, look, you are too fucking
Even the Catholic Church,
creepy.
which notably has had some issues with stuff like this, said, dude, no thanks. So instead of doing any of that, he decided to become a police officer. Because that's healthy. Anyway, so in 1971, at age 25, he became a patrol officer there. And so this is where the problems began. So on July the 22nd of 1972, so like just 6 months or so after he had graduated and become like an actual patrol officer, he ended up picking up 2 teenage girls who were hitchhiking, right?
Mm-hmm.
He abducts them.
Nice.
And he took them to a remote forest, and he tied them to some trees, and he threatened to kill them or sell them into prostitution because he's a dick.
Yeah.
And
sounds like it.
Fortunately for them, actually, he had a radio, like a call on his police radio, and he was like, okay, I gotta go do my actual job, but I'm gonna leave you guys here tied up, and he was like, I'm coming back, don't move.
Okay.
Now these girls were young, but they weren't stupid, so they were 17 and 18 years old, and they ended up like wiggling out of these ropes that he had tied them up in. And they run to the nearest police station, and it was actually the police station that he worked at. And so when Gerard Schaefer got back to where he had left the girls tied to the tree, he saw that they were not there anymore. And he was like, well, fuck, I've got to do some damage control. So he radios to the police station, and he claims to the police chief that he's done something a little stupid, that okay, I pretended to kidnap these girls and I threatened them because I wanted wanted to scare them so they wouldn't hitchhike anymore. I wanted to show them that, you know, there's all sorts of terrible things can happen to you if you hitchhike. So I just wanted you to know that I did that, and it probably wasn't smart, but like I wasn't actually trying to hurt anybody.
Good God.
But yeah, the boss was like, hell the fuck no, you didn't. That is ridiculous. Absolutely not. You're fired immediately.
Ugh.
So he was, you know, stripped of his rank in his office. They took his badge and they charged him with false imprisonment and assault. So he ended up posting bail and was released. And then in September of 1972, so just like the next month, 2 months, I'm bad at calendars, but anyway, so he ended up doing the same damn thing over again. He abducts 2 more girls. This time it's Susan Place, and she was 17 years old, and a girl named Georgia Jessup, and she was only 16. And he abducted both of them from the side. They were hitchhiking. He abducted them. He tortured them in ways that I'm not going to get into.
Thank you.
And he murdered both of them. And then he buried them there where Oak Hammock Park is now. So, that, like, it was the tree. He hung them up in the tree, and they died, and he buried them under the branches of that oak tree. So in December of 1972, he ended up having to go to court for that first abduction that he did in July.
Yeah.
And he ended up plea bargaining there, and he got to plead guilty to just the charge of aggravated assault. And for that, he only got 1 year in prison.
Yeah, of course.
So then
But he had killed these 2 in between the kidnapping and the court date.
Yes, but they had only been reported missing. They didn't know, they had never found a body. They hadn't found anything. They did not know that they were murdered at this point. But in April of the next year, so in April of 1973, it was at least 6 months, maybe a little bit longer after they had disappeared. Some like fisher folk came through and were doing like just hanging out or whatever, and they saw some ropes hanging in the tree, and they're like, that's fucking weird. And then they saw like some bones kind of poking out at the base of the tree, and they're like, well, fuck. So they call in the police, and the police excavate it, and they of course identify the 2 girls. And so at this point they're like, okay, this is the same location. There's 2 girls. They disappeared right after this asshole got arrested the first time. We've got to fucking check this shit out, because this is sketchy and creepy, and we think it's him. So he
didn't bury them like deep at all.
He didn't bury them very well at all. No.
Yeah.
So, and he left the fucking rope in the tree. So they get a search warrant for Schaefer's house, and so he and his wife, which he was married, by the way.
Okay.
So he and his wife were actually living in the house with his mom at the time, and so they got a search warrant.
I thought he was in prison.
Well, I mean, he was in prison, but I'm saying the house that they were living at before he even went to prison, they were living with his mom.
Okay.
So they get a search warrant, and in his bedroom, the police find a bunch of creepy stories that he had written. Like, he was... You can read some of this shit, and I would not recommend it. But he basically had this whole, like, he was writing creepy fucking fanfic for himself. Like, it was stories about him torturing and raping and murdering women, and, like, just, this shit is dark as it's bad.
So from a first person point of view.
Yeah, like, he just telling stories and stuff like that, like his imaginings of what he would do to these women, and he keeps calling them whores and sluts, and just, it's gross. It is the worst thing. And so they found all of that, and they're like, oh, this is not good. And then what's even worse is they found a lot of personal possessions of a lot of women that had been missing for quite some time. Yeah. So they found jewelry, and they found teeth and diaries and purses and stuff like that. So they found some jewelry that was actually from that woman, Lee Hanline, the girl that he was stalking in high school.
Okay.
She had gotten married and they had known each other. And anyway, they were neighbors. That was the peeping Tom girl that he had gotten in trouble with in high school. Well, she vanished in 1969 from Fort Lauderdale. She had just written a note to her husband saying, "Oh, I'm going to Miami," and she never showed back up. Turns out he had her purse and like all of her jewelry and shit like that. So he had clearly, they believe that she might have been one of his first murders.
Right.
And so they find all of that stuff. And they find lots of stuff, anyway.
So the wife never saw any of this shit? Because it sounds like a lot of stuff to keep hidden somewhere.
That's what I said, but I really don't know. Maybe she was just trying to be oblivious to it, but...
be a good housewife.
But anyway, they ended up eventually finding that Lee Hanlon's. They found her body, and her skull had multiple bullet holes, and she was dumped at a construction site not very far away from where the rest of this stuff was. But anyway, he was never charged with her murder, but it's highly suspected that he's the one who did it. And so they also found items that belonged to the two dead girls from under the tree. They found a purse, and it was identified by the victim's mother. And then the mother picked this guy, the shaver guy, out of a lineup saying, "Yeah, that's the last person I saw," whatever. And so they finally had enough, they had enough evidence, obviously, to convict him at least of those two murders of the place in Jessup. So the two girls that were found under the tree. So they arrest him. They charge him with murder. And he ends up getting, in 1973, he was found guilty and sentenced to 2 life sentences. And so he was basically there were so many missing girls and stuff at this time that he was linked to a possibility of about 30 missing women and girls. The whole thing is just absolutely bull.
Well, did they ever ask him about those?
Oh yeah, they did. And we're getting into that, but so there is a true crime writer, I guess, and her name was Sonia London, I believe is how you say her name. But Sandra London, and she actually went to high school with him and knew him pretty well, so she kind of corresponded with him, and she wrote a couple of books and published some of that creepy stories that he wrote, and the whole thing is a little weird, but in some of those letters he confessed to killing quite a few different women and that kind of thing. So they end up thinking that they're pretty sure that he killed at least 11 women. The youngest of those victims was 8 years old, and the oldest was 22. So the whole thing is just absolutely...
He killed an 8-year-old?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
He abducted an 8 and 9-year-old and killed them both.
Ugh.
But basically, I'm not going to get into a lot of that because it makes my tummy hurt, and I don't want to talk about the torture and the rape and all of that stuff. But
thank you.
You're welcome. But anyway, so he got in jail, and he corresponded with that Sandra London woman, and she wrote a few books about him, but she called him a serial killer or whatever. And apparently he hated that, and there were several other true crime writers that called him serial killers when they wrote about him, and so he starts suing them. That was his thing. The courts refused his appeals for his sentence, so instead of continuing to appeal things, he just decided to have a bunch of frivolous lawsuits to sue these.
Yeah, because he didn't have to pay for anything.
No, just all these frivolous lawsuits, and almost every single one of them gets dismissed pretty fast because that Sandra London woman has 500 pages of this information of, I killed all of these people, ha ha ha, kind of stuff. And they just show it to the judge and they're like, he's a serial killer. And they're like, oh, yeah, sure, you're right. And so they dismiss most of those cases.
What was he suing for? Libel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Saying that he wasn't a serial killer. He only killed the two, when, like I said, he had confessed in writing and to other people in the jail and all of that stuff. But anyway, this guy ends up getting murdered in prison.
Oh, of course.
Because it turns out he was in a place, whatever his prison job was, he was some kind of, I wasn't sure. He was some kind of clerk. And anyway, he basically became a snitch for a bunch of the other people that were in prison. And so he would talk to these people and like pretend that he was on their side or whatever. And he would write letters to the, whoever the state attorney general or whatever was, saying, oh, this is what they said in prison, all of this stuff. And it would end up coming out in their trials and stuff like that.
So he was trying to curb
he was
favor.
trying to like curry favor with those people and try to maybe get more favorable circumstances in prison
Reduce
and stuff like that. Exactly. And so the people in prison like caught onto it and they were not happy. So a man named Vincent Rivera, he was already in prison with like 2 life sentences, no chance of parole. So he just killed him. Basically for being a jailhouse snitch. That's why they killed him. And so, I mean, I don't think anybody was sad to see him go.
Well, I'm not.
No, not at all.
Fuck that guy.
There's a lot more like minute details about this guy, but I really don't want to get into it because it hurts my tummy and this man sucks. But like there's some weird like conspiracy theory, like maybe they were covering up, he was framed kind of stuff, like with
that's not what happened.
It's not what happened. He was a sick fuck that murdered a bunch of girls, and it makes me mad. But anyway, back to the tree.
Yay,
this devil's tree.
Yeah.
So ever since this happened, the tree has been a little bit creepy, which obviously they found 2 murdered girls underneath it. It's gonna be creepy. But sort of in the mid-90s, the whole satanic panic thing happened, and there was a rumor out that people like, because this bad stuff had happened there, that like Satan worshipers were coming to the tree to do rituals around it, And I mean, I think that is obviously all bullshit. But in 1993, they said that there was a report that 2 boys were out in this park, and it was Oak Hammock Park is what they built the park there. But they said that 2 boys were out in the park hanging out, and they were chased through the woods by hooded figures, and they were terrified of it. So later that year, a local priest was like, all right, let's do an exorcism on this tree. And so the local diocese erected like a little cross at the base of the tree. But the tree got knocked over. I mean, not the tree, but the cross got knocked over. So people were like, oh, the demons are still there. When I mean, I'm sorry. This is just a sad story. And I understand that, like, the spooky, I get it. But,
Yeah.
Like, I don't...
The spooky, I get it too, Leah.
Anytime you bring Satanists into a story, I'm just sitting here going, all right, y'all, you southern little bitches need to calm down. The Satanists don't want to they're not going to dance out by the tree. Maybe a coven of witches, but they're not like the scary witches. They're like
They're the witches who believe that witchcraft is a thing.
The health and happy
and
let's use some sage and dance with our tits out. I'm fine with it. Like, it's not this sinister thing.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
I'm ranting here, and I'm sorry. But anyway, also another creepy story about this devil's tree.
Are there tits out in this one too?
There's no tits. I'm sorry.
Fuck.
But they were, just as they were starting to build this park, they were cutting down some trees to make room for paths, for hiking and walking paths and stuff in that area.
Okay.
So they try to cut this tree down, and they start with a chainsaw. and the chainsaws malfunctioned. So they got other chainsaws, and the blades would just the chains kept dulling on them, and they couldn't cut this sucker down. So they're like, you know what? We're going to do this manually. It'll be fine. They brought like a 2-man saw, like the big, big tree lumberjack saws. And that motherfucker chipped all of the teeth off that saw. And they tried an axe, and the axe head just sort of broke off the handle, and they were like, fuck it, we'll go around. Yeah. So this tree clearly wants to stay there. People report lots of paranormal activity around the bathrooms in that park, which is just opposite of the tree. They hear women screaming out of the bathroom, which... Call 911, y'all. The bathroom shouldn't scream.
Yeah, that's not paranormal. That's something you need to contact the authorities about.
Yeah. They say that lots of orbs and ectoplasm photos are taken around the tree and in the parking lot there. They say that it's really hard to take a picture of the tree because cameras malfunction really badly around that. Like, the batteries will drain or the SD card will corrupt. It's just sort of, a little creepy. So, yeah, they say, cold spots around the tree. Some people say that, if it's really dark and late at night, you can hear the screaming kind of stuff. So, Devil's Tree, but also... 2 women were brutally murdered there, and I can only imagine that that's just a really hard thing for the community to deal with. And so ghost stories are one of those ways to make it a little bit more kitsch and a little less fucking terrifying. So I understand, but I don't think Satanists are hanging out at the tree. I just don't.
I tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
Because Satanists, aren't a real thing anyway. People blow it out of fucking proportion. Deistic
Satanists exist, but, they're not out dancing around a tree, as far as I know.
They hang out in a church-like setting, like all the other people who do these things.
And most of the people that, belong to the, quote, Church of Satan, they're atheist. It's a metaphor,
It is really a troll religion. We've been over this before. It was literally created to be like, oh yeah, you have your thing, here's mine. It's nothing. How's that make you feel?
Yeah.
And then people were like, yeah, but let's really do something with it. And then everybody else was like, I guess, but I'm still just going to be an asshole. That's just all that it was.
I don't know.
That's why I'm if I had to pick one, I would do that.
I don't know.
I would go Church of Satan.
Because, okay, story time.
Mostly because I would love to tell your grandmother.
Please don't. I don't need that in my life.
Not too long ago, she brought up something that I didn't know about. And I said, what is that? And she said, you were raised Methodist? You know that? I said, I haven't been to a Methodist church in 20 years. And the look of horror on her face when I said that. And I was like, I'm not going to say anything else.
My grandmother doesn't know I married a heathen, but it's fine. Whatever.
Well, does she know that you're a heathen? Does she know what you've done with your body, Leah?
Lord.
You have desecrated God's temple.
Oh, it's fine. It was a crumbling temple anyway. But my point is, I grew up in the South, in the woods, and I swear, y'all, there were stories about the woods out behind the Walmart here that Satanists were chanting in the woods. Ask Aaliyah about it. My friend Aaliyah that also hosts this Trailer Trashy podcast. Yeah. Come listen to us on Sundays. But anyway.
And earlier we were talking about the burning couch. It was at her house.
It was.
Anyway.
We have very few friends, but they're the best friends, so it's fun.
They like setting shit on fire.
Also true. But she tells this story about being out behind her, because her parents lived out there. And we used to ride the four-wheeler out in those woods and stuff out in front of where the Walmart parking lot is.
Yes.
And she always tells a story about hearing this chanting in the woods. And I'm just like, I don't understand. She's like, I swear there's devil worshippers out there. And she had me convinced as hell when we were in middle school that there were devil worshippers out in the middle of those woods out in front of the Walmart just doing their black masses. And I'm just sitting here going,
did they live in the woods or did they meet in the woods?
I don't know what little dumb shit I was that believed her about it, but I think she still believes that there's chanting in that woods.
Well, we know that she believes in magic as well. We've discussed it many times with her privately.
Oh, Lord, y'all. She had me going for a long time, and I don't know if she honestly believes it or if I'm just a gullible bullshit little kid, but...
She definitely... I know her enough to tell you she 100% believes what she has told you, and you're still a gullible shit. Like they're the same. They're together.
I don't know, but those woods are a little spooky, but I don't think anybody's dressing in robes and stealing kittens or anything. It's fine.
No, they're not. And
anyway.
even if they are, let them have their worship thing. It's not affecting you at all unless you believe in magic. And then we have to have another conversation altogether.
Well, I'm a lot more stitious than you are, okay?
I know you are. I have a tiny bit of stitious. You have all the stitious. And I try to keep telling you, nothing magical is happening, Leah, except for my love for you. It's blossoming.
You're super creepy. But anyway, so yeah, that was my satanic panic story. Also, everybody in my church was really upset when Harry Potter came out, and I had already read like the first 3 books, and my mom was like, have you been reading this? And I was like, yeah. She's like, maybe I should read this to make sure that it's not terrible. And she read it and got more excited about it than I was. So we always read Harry Potter together, regardless of what the church thought.
Yeah, that shit kind of died off, didn't it?
Yeah. It just got so popular that the churches couldn't fight it. Hell, the Baptists were in a fight with with Disney there for a real hot minute over Gay Week or whatever.
Well, Disney doesn't even do that, though.
Well, they do now. But
I didn't know
initially,
they
it was
started doing
unofficial.
Yeah, I didn't know they started doing it. I thought it was just 100% unofficial, but like Disney was, okay, come on,
no,
but not.
I'm pretty sure it's an
Disney
official
sponsored.
event now. But when it first started in the 90s, the Baptist church, tried to boycott Disney, straight up boycott Disney. And, they wouldn't let us watch The Little Fucking Mermaid. I'm just like, no, my parents let me watch The Little Mermaid.
Why couldn't you watch The Little Mermaid?
Well,
because it was released in
Disney.
the 90s.
Literally anything Disney, you weren't supposed to purchase it or buy it, and you weren't supposed to go to Disney World because they liked gay people. And I'm just like, but I really like Sebastian.
That was less than 30 years ago. Let's remember that. Just how ridiculous. And y'all always live in the Deep South with a lot of Baptist people. Things have not progressed much. They're basically the same that they were 30 years ago.
But now Disney's fine.
Yeah, now they're like, yeah, okay. They like gay people, whatever. As long as they keep pumping out different Lion King movies, we can go with it.
I like The Lion King.
Well, that's my point. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Leah doesn't care what Disney does, quote unquote, wrong, because I'm not saying Gay Week is wrong. I almost did by accident. I almost just said whatever Disney does wrong, and then I've realized very quickly I'm about to make myself sound bad, so let me fix it.
Gay Pride Week sounds like fun, but Dapper Day is what I want to go for.
You know what I want to go for?
What's that?
I want to go for the fucking Halloween celebration.
I know, right?
It's like everything in the park is haunted, and there's people running around the park with chainsaws and shit.
No, not at Disney. That's Universal.
Okay, all right.
Universal Horror, Fright Nights, that's what you're talking about.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Disney is the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party, and it's adorable.
Yeah, I was talking about Universal. That's my fault.
I would be happy with either or both, but,
Yeah. Well, I would love to, but I'm not going to pay for it.
Yeah, it's expensive as hell. So.
Exactly.
Oh well.
That's why
we've been talking about Disney for way too long. You ready for a toast?
Yeah, you know why? Because they're heathens, Leah.
They're my kind of heathens, though.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I agree. But yeah, if you want to get a toast, go for it.
All right, y'all. We're toasting the gal row, and we're not toasting that Schaefer dude because he's a dickhole.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, hoist your goblets high into the sky, and let us make a toast. Don't go searching for the old gal row. You start out as a hunter and end up as chow. The devil never did a damn thing to that tree, but he's got a hold of Schaefer 'cause he's human debris. Drink.
That was interesting.
What?
Human debris was
He's
fun.
trash.
No,
but
I get
debris
it.
rhymes with tree.
I get it. That was really cool.
Thanks.
Human refuse.
Indeed, but
Right?
refuse doesn't rhyme with tree either.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I did my best.
Yep.
I did my best.
Excellent.
And our dog has been a fucking brat for 5 minutes. She's just making so much noise trying to get attention that I know has been picked up on this audio recording.
Most likely.
You know how much she's been shaking over here?
A lot.
All the little clink and clacks. That's Samus being a cunt. So sorry about that, everybody.
She's a sweetheart.
She is a sweet cunt. She's a sweet little cunt.
Eh,
Episode title.
No.
Sweet little cunt.
That's, please. I'm going to need you to edit all of this off.
That came out way worse than I, like, right when I said it. I went, this is not what I wanted it to be. You need to edit all of that off. Absolutely not.
Ugh.
Why would I do that? Really, I did not mean it that way, but good God, what just happened? Oh. All right, let's wrap this fucker up. That's enough, Leah. You've gone overboard again.
Always.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for listening. Find us on social media, Southern Spirits Podcast. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/Southern Spirits Podcast. I got it right that time. What you gonna do about it? Listen to the other show on our network, Trailer Trashy, for all of your fun, dumb true crime stuff. So kind of like this, but much, much less depressing in my experience.
Amen. Nobody gets raped or murdered. It's pretty great.
Yes, she's so right. Join us on Sundays for Midweek Minis. We have a live stream on Twitch. Also on Wednesdays, we live stream our Tailgate Tales that comes out on Saturday. So join us there. Come
Lots
hang
of
out with
face
us. Yeah, we face paint for Tailgate Tales. Midweek Minis, we don't. Y'all just hang out with us. Sorry.
What would we face paint for midweek minis?
Fucking nothing. That's why we're not doing it. Because let's do that. Next time that we do Midweek Minis, let's just go, look at this face paint, and there's just nothing on our faces. It's clear face paint. Check it out. If you want to send us a postcard or anything else fun, send it to our P.O. Box, which is P.O. Box 1743, Hartselle, Alabama. That's Hartselle 35640. And with the exception of the depressing second story, I've had a fun week. How about you, Leah? There you go. Well, we'll see you next week.
All right. Bye, y'all.